Hi everyone, this is Demo Gonzalez of Heartwood Financial Services. Hey, thanks for joining us for our latest financial wisdom video. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 uses of money. There's really only 5 things you could do with it. And the title is Changing the Edges to Your Wedges. So thanks for joining us. All right, let's start off with a quick overview first. What we're doing is what's called the 4 H's of financial wisdom. This is material that I got from Ron Blue Institute. They're part of my Certified Kingdom Advisor program. So we did the heart, which is the first H, a few months ago. I'd encourage you to go check it out if you haven't seen that already. And today we're going to do the health. And hopefully over the next few months we'll get to cover habits and hope. So stay tuned for that. But let's get started with health, today's reality. All right, so here it is. These are the 5 things that you could do with money. So first of all, you can use it to live, right? To buy food and shelter and take care of your family. You can use it to give away to charities, to family members, to different organizations. You can use it to pay your taxes and to pay your debt. And finally, you can use it to invest and grow. And of course, these are slices or wedges of a pie that encompass all the different things that you could do with your money. So think about each one of these as wedges of a pie. And of course, in the middle here is the fact that God owns it all, right? He's the one that's blessed us with our abilities and our resources. And so he's the owner of it all, of course. And the challenge is that each one of these wedges is a priority that's competing for your money. And so the challenge is, how do you appropriately put the money into these different wedges, and what does God call us to do with each one of these wedges? So stay tuned. All right, the first wedge is the live wedge. Of course, this is the best wedge of all, right? This is where we get to enjoy the fruits of our labor, take care of our families, enjoy taking trips and eating good food and shelter and so on and so forth. And so the live wedge is also an opportunity for us to honor God in the life that we live, right? And so in this verse here, 1 Timothy 6:8, it talks about basically that we should be taking care of our family and our friends. And I would also remind you that God, like you as a parent, wants to take good care of your children, right? You want your children to have the best. You want them to enjoy life and have all the things that maybe you didn't have. And so God feels that same way. And so he rejoices in you enjoying those fruits and those blessings. All right, the second piece of the pie or the wedge is the give wedge. And an example of somebody that was a great philanthropist, Paul Newman. Much of you know him as an actor, but he's also a big philanthropist. He gives a lot of money to charity. And you can see him there with a big smile on his face for probably one of his salad dressings, where he gives a lot of the profits away to charity. And of course, Oprah Winfrey and all the charity work that she's done as well. And so this verse in Luke is basically the verse that talks about how you can't serve 2 masters. And if you serve money as your master, then you can't serve God, because you can't have 2 masters. So the give wedge is an important one to basically demonstrate our faith of God's provision and taking care of people in our community. All right, the third wedge is the owe taxes wedge. And so basically, it talks about this in the Bible, believe it or not, that we should pay our taxes and do it with gratitude. This verse here, Matthew 22:17-21, is an interesting one. This is where the Pharisees were trying to question Jesus, and they were telling him, to whom should you pay taxes and all this. And basically he showed him a coin and said, whose face is on this? This is Caesar. Well, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. And so essentially saying, hey, pay your taxes, but also give to God what is God's, which really everything is. but it was also demonstrating that we shouldn't be like Leona Helmsley here. It says that we don't pay taxes, only the little people pay taxes. And she got in a lot of trouble for not paying her taxes. All right, now the fourth one is owe the debt. And the Bible talks a lot about debt. It basically doesn't like debt very much. You're essentially like this picture here. You're weighed down by the debt. You become a slave to the lender. And you can see in the lives of these two individuals here, MC Hammer, who had lots of money coming in, but went out faster than it came in. And I understand Judy Garland, also Dorothy here, had a lot of money problems with debt. Now, she may have had some other issues too, as well as MC Hammer. But the big thing about debt is that it presumes upon the future, which is what this verse in James is talking about, where you're basically taking away from your future and bringing it into today, and it presumes a lot. And so the Bible's not really big on this. Of course, if you get into it, you need to pay it off and pay it off as quickly as possible. All right, the last wedge, the fifth wedge, is the grow wedge. As you can imagine, this is my favorite wedge. So, investment manager, right? And the Bible talks a lot about the growth and having margin and investing, and these are all good things. But in Luke 12:16, he actually talks about a story, this parable of this rich person that has this great crop and asks, what should I do with all this extra crop? And of course, there's a lot of different things that he could have done, but what he decided to do was just to build bigger barns and store it all. And it turns out that he ends up dying the next day. And so the lesson here is that we should probably, enjoy the journey a little bit more and maybe be a little bit more generous, especially when we have an abundance, because you never know when your last day is going to be. So that was definitely part of this lesson here in Luke 12:16. And it also reminds me of the whole story of wherever your treasure is, your heart will follow. Not the other way around, interestingly enough. I always thought it was the other way around, but it's actually wherever your treasure is, your heart will follow. So if your treasure is just in your portfolio and your investments and things like that, that's where your heart will be. And so the part that I get from this story as well is that we should have our treasure in other people and relationships and our relationship with God, and not just with the investments and our money. All right, thanks a lot, guys. That's it for the video. Hope you guys found some helpful tidbits there. The challenge is making sure that you have a good proportion in each one of these wedges, and maybe even write down how much you spend in each one of these parts of your pie. And if you notice, you have a very disproportionate looking pie, especially when it comes to the living and the giving and the growing, not so much the owing, of course. It might be a good way for you to reevaluate your priorities a little bit and think to yourself, hey, I want to make this piece of the pie bigger. Now, how do I do that? And so I hope this was a good exercise and a good review of some things you probably heard before. Good reminders come from the good book that has some great financial wisdom. Thanks a lot for listening. God bless.